But anyway, guys, this is John Newman, and welcome to the next episode of Welcome to the Machine. And man, tonight we have a kind of a fascinating guy, a guy that used to have hair, but I used to have brown hair too. But I first met this guy at a conference, and he was walking around a conference with this crazy outfit on, and he was kind of like a branding and marketing genius at that time. I think well before his time. Now he's a co-founder of Group 4610, an expansion real estate organization. They have, I believe it's 15 different locations now, and are doing a couple $100 million in sales. Is that right, Kevin?
Yeah, we should do about 210, 220 this year.
And that's 200 million, right?
200 million, yeah.
That's a pretty big business, as one of our mentors would say. That's not like your average guy going out and hustling a couple of houses.
No, it's definitely it's starting to become a real live organization. No doubt about that. So we're on the way. We're on the path. We're nowhere near where we want to be, but we're definitely on the right path.
And Kevin, when you and I first met, I think we kind of hit it off because, and one of the things I loved about you was you were just very, very transparent, could we call it? Maybe.
Some people could use the word transparent. When I was growing up, they said, well, he tends to wear his emotions on his sleeve. Other people have just said, you never wonder what I'm thinking. And then typically the descriptions get less nice from there.
And you have a partner and
business
partner, and you all balance each other. It's kind of like Laurel and Hardy. Like you all balance each other out really, really well.
Was that a fat joke?
No, not at all.
That's funny though. Weren't they like, forget it. Anyways, yes. Yeah. No, I think, what's funny, John, is because obviously you and I know each other from the short sale days, right? Because that's where I got my start in real estate. But the one thing that I get maybe more questions on now than ever before is on partnerships and how to have a lasting partnership in business that isn't a husband and a wife or a brother or, some sort of family situation. I probably take a call a month on that from somebody around the country, whether they're with it, usually within the Keller Williams community because it's so big. But it's pretty big, partnership. I get questions about that all the time. As recently as, twice in the last 3 weeks.
It's funny because I literally just had an interview with another person, and his question was, I'm thinking about having a partnership. What do you think about partnerships? And I said, for the most part, unless it's a marriage, like there can be a lot of challenges. How have you and Kevin, or I'm sorry, Kevin, whatever, fuck it. How have you and Fred managed to, I'm sure you all have arguments. You got to have some.
It's funny. First of all, I'm always right, so that makes it really easy, John. I'm always right. I'm smarter than Fred will ever hope to be. So there's that. So no, the truth is, it's funny because a lot of people ask me that. I can remember talking to Kate Gentry. Kate, good friend of both of ours, years ago. This is probably 2010, 2011. And she was like, come on, guys, really, who's the decision maker? When it really comes down to it. And we just told her, we're what do you mean? Truthfully, we are both the decision maker. I don't know how to answer it, John. I've decided that it's not something I could teach anybody. I think Fred and I we just happen to be in alignment on a lot of things. I think that's what it is. At the end of the day, we have the same vision, and that makes it easy. So I can remember back to, 2012. One of my mentors was John Davis. So he's the CEO of Keller Williams. And he said to me, he's like, listen, and he was talking about specifically about Keller Williams, market centers, right? He said, when the investor group or, the ownership group of the market center, when they have different visions, when there's more than one vision, there's big trouble coming, if not already there. And we've somehow always managed to dodge that. We've always been kind of in lockstep, and we both know our roles. We both know our strengths. We both know where I excel and where he excels and where I'm weak and where he's weak. And we have a lot of similarities. And we typically have the same answer, but we don't always get there the same way. Like sometimes we just take a different route to get there, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. In some ways, it is like a marriage. It's give and take, knowing where to pick your battles, and at the end, having the same vision, the same. We both know where we're trying to go. So as long as we're clear on that direction, everything can work out because we can get past our differences.
Yep.
Kevin, a lot of people, and I get this a lot when I think of real estate. The misconceptions are, okay, it's somebody riding around showing, they think HGTV. You've got a $200 million a year in sales business organization. How many employees do you have, or partners, employees, associates?
John, that's a moving target. So as of right now, there are 71 folks on the sales side of our organization. We got a couple more in leadership on the sales side of organizations. We got 3 what we call regional directors or regional leaders. Then if you go over to the back end, the support, or what we call the hub of our company, we have got a total of 6 administrators that handle, I don't want to just use jargon, but they handle marketing, listings, transaction, coordination to close, right? And they're all licensed, and some of them are licensed in as many as 7 states, right? They all have at least 2 licenses. Some of them have as many as 7. And then we've got a team of 4 on our what we call our operations side. So that team looks like operations for us is they don't touch transactions, and so they're there to basically support the salespeople and the administrative people, and they do that through technology and our resources. Basically, they make everyone's job easier by using technology and utilizing everything we can to be as efficient as possible. Because as you can imagine, you asked me what the volume was, and I truthfully, I know the volume. I don't really care about that. I really pay a lot more attention to the unit, and because that's what I've got to base my business on, right? I've got a cost to do a unit, right? And we have to be so efficient to be able to sell a house. And so that's really the way I look at things. And we're going to push out anywhere from 700 to 800 closed units this year. And it's really, these folks, they don't touch any of those, right? On the operations side, administrative side, they touch it all. Salespeople touch all those transactions, obviously. And then operations, they are there to create the technology and systems to make those 2 teams work together, right? To share information and to best work in harmony to help the consumer have the best possible experience.
And Kevin, you've always been, because I think it's really important. You've always been, you're an entrepreneur type person. You could have done any other different things. How did you tell us how real estate is just like any other business? Because you're not in the real estate business. You're in the business and business of people.
Yeah, it's so funny. I got into real estate not knowing that, okay? So I stumbled in. All I knew was I really wanted to be in real estate. At the time, I was super passionate about it, and that's all. I was just fortunate to meet somebody who kind of, in a way, became a mentor of mine, and I would give him all the credit in the world for me being in real estate today. He was the one that sparked that fire for me. But I didn't know it was a business. I really did. I thought what most people think, which is the way most real estate agents behave, right? So as an industry, we have earned the reputation that we have, which is we just go out, we look for a transaction, we look for a deal, and then we go look for another deal, and we never build a business because we're too busy selling, right?
Like a hustler.
Yeah, exactly. And we've totally earned that. And so I didn't have a concept. I really didn't know. I didn't think about it. I just knew I wanted to be in and around real estate. And the one thing I knew about myself, though, John, is I knew I had to work for myself. I had to be my own boss. And where I met the gentleman that kind of sparked that for me was at a community college, because I had just decided I'm going to go back to school and I'm going to work on my degree until I figure out what I want to do with my life. Mm-hmm. And then I discovered real estate shortly thereafter, or a couple of years later, anyways. And so I got in, I realized, oh man, you can have a business. We got very fortunate. We started doing short sales right away. My 3rd deal ever was a short sale. I short sold. It was one of Fred's listings, really, who's now my business partner. We weren't business partners at the time. but he had a listing, but he was leaving the country for his honeymoon. And so he asked me to help him with his short sale listings. And I'm like, what's a short sale? So he tells me, we took these listings not even knowing if we could get paid to do them. True story. And I got one closed, and I sold this lady's house for like $800,000, but she owed like $2 million.
Holy crap.
And yeah, that's what I said. And then I went, oh, I could do that. This isn't so bad. But nobody else wanted to do it, right? And so we almost forced ourselves into having a business because we were willing to do short sales when nobody else. Everybody wanted to have an REO account, or they honestly, they're going back to work at Dillard's or wherever they worked at before they got their real estate license, right? And here I am. I'm like, I'll do short sales. Bring them. And Fred and I we actually officially started working together a couple months later, and things took off like quickly. We were forced to grow a business. You know, we went from, I think we might have had 11 or 12 listings between the two of us. February 1st, 2008, the day we stepped foot in an office together and decided to split expenses, not income, but expenses. We stepped into an office, and I'll bet you it wasn't 60 days later, we probably had 20 or 30 listings, and it wasn't much later, we had 50. And before that year was out, we had 90 some odd listings. And we're just crushing it.
And it's funny because I remember, was that about, you guys came across as a marketing and branding experts. Like, I remember when you all were doing videos, you know, the videos. So
your boy Gary V inspired that.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Remember the dumb little chant at the end, and then we would do the short sale power hour, right? Yes. And then we'd say crush it. That was like basically a tribute to Gary V. So a friend of ours, we called him Coach Collard. He's a good friend of ours, Mark. And if you go back in the history of like Fred, he's basically he's responsible in a lot of ways for Fred getting interested in real estate, and even me so too. Like he's a very close dear friend of mine, and I hold him in like super high regard. And we just, Fred and I always get a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? Creative when we get out of the office, right? One of the things we love about going to events is just getting on the airplane and going. And we decided we were going to go to San Diego. So me, Fred, and Mark get in my car and drive to San Diego. But the night before at Keller Williams East Valley here in Tempe, Arizona, there was this guy named Gary Vaynerchuk doing a talk.
He spoke?
Yeah, he spoke because the guy that was the team leader was a former Tony Robbins team member, and he knew Gary from his Tony Robbins days. Wow. And so Gary was already in town for his book tour, so Doug was able to go like get him in to do an event for them. I didn't know who this guy was. I'd never heard of him. But Mark, if you've ever met Mark, he could sell ice to an Eskimo. If he's excited about something, it's over. You will succumb to his will, guaranteed. And so he had this little book, Crush It. And he spent between here and Yuma, which is actually my hometown, and about 2.5 hours away from Phoenix. He spent that 2.5 hours convincing us that we needed to do video blogs. And then he heard this guy, Gary Vaynerchuk, talk the night before. And I'm not kidding you, John. By the time we got to San Diego, we had stopped at a Target, bought a Kodak ZI-8, to which I still have and use to this day, the same exact camera. And we were filming videos right there on the beach that day. And it was November 9th, 2009 was the first episode of Short Sale Power. I called a buddy of mine who knows how to make websites, WordPress sites and stuff like that. You know, back in the day, not many people, this was still 2009. WordPress was big already, but it wasn't, I don't think it was quite as easy to use. Maybe it was. Anyway, so I called Drew and I said, hey, can you do that? We want to do like a video blog. And he's like, oh yeah, I can do it. I'll teach you how to post to it every day. And we've then, as you know, posted 5 videos a week for a couple of years. Yeah. And we just decided, the truth was, and I say this with all humbleness possible in a statement like this, we knew more about short sales than anybody on the planet. And we were confident in that. We had the best results of anybody on the planet. And so we just decided we're going to give it away. And at the time, we had been teaching a lot in person. And so we felt like gave us an excuse to no longer go teach for free in person, because we're going to still give away our content and we'll just do it on a video blog. We called it Short Sale Power Hour and posted 5 days a week for quite some time.
And the interesting thing, Kevin, is that still works, by the way. So if anybody, and it doesn't make a difference whether it's real estate, it's selling shoes, it's selling software.
Bubble gum.
It
Doesn't
still
matter.
works.
Yep.
It's not instantaneous. It's not like you're going to create 5 videos and all of a sudden your world changes. But Gary Vee still talks about the same thing that he talked about 9 years ago.
You know, it's so funny. People today, like I get questions like, we've got that Facebook group, the real estate agents who want real results, right? Mm-hmm. And every once in a while, someone will post a question about social media. Like, hey, what should I do? Who's doing that social media? And I'm like, my number one piece of advice is still go read Crush It. A little tiny book that was written in 2009. Like, if you really want to understand social media, even though it talks about like the iPhone having the video camera before it even had it, like it wasn't even available when he wrote that book. You know, it didn't come out for like 6-7 months afterwards. To think about how fast technology changes, because it seems like we've had that forever, right?
Yeah.
Even though there's things in there like that, so it's clearly dated, the principles in that book are still the best when it comes to social media. Some of the platforms have changed. There's Instagram now, there's Snapface, all the other things, right? And so, but the principles are the same. That book is still the go-to in my opinion. And I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm just old and I'm not keeping up with the times, but I firmly believe that if you picked up that book today and you just followed the playbook in the book, Crush It, and did nothing else, you would indeed crush it.
Yeah. And that's what he just talks about. Put out your content. You'll build an audience. Once you build an audience, you can do whatever business you want to do.
Yeah.
It'll work.
Yep.
Going through that process, because you were doing along the lines of real estate, but bring it back to more of like business. What have you learned through real estate that can be applied to any person that wants to start any type of business that's out there?
Oh man, it's so not to go too far down a rabbit hole. So my wife and I this weekend were talking about Rich Dad Poor Dad and just investing. And that book was really one of the things that sparked it for me as well, right? And so I was, yeah, you should really read that book. And I told her that, I told her you should read it. It's on Audible. Let me go add it to my account real quick so you can download it. And then you know what? I downloaded it. I listened to the entire thing yesterday.
Wow.
And what's funny now, knowing what I know now, not like I know a lot, but knowing what I know now, there are so many business nuggets in that book that are disguised that like I didn't catch the first couple times I read the book, but I just listened to it yesterday. And, you know, he talks about people. I mean, at the end of the day, business is about people, right? Gary Keller said this last week. A business is nothing more than a legal and physical structure for people to perform, or something to that extent, right? I'm paraphrasing and I'm sure I'm screwing it up, but you get it, right? A business is nothing more than it gives people an opportunity to be who they are, to really shine. And it comes down to people. It's always people. Now there's systems and there's processes, but people is always at the center of it. And that is one thing I've learned about real estate, right? So as our business has grown from 100 units a year to 200 to last year doing 500, and this year we'll do north of 7. It's been people. It's been when we've been willing to get out of the way of the people we hired and gotten business with.
So it always comes back to people, relationships.
Yeah.
Any book you read will talk about most success, business, investment books. The highest return on investment you get is through people.
Oh yeah, Gary's been pounding that in my head for years. Right? I would much rather. So I'm so lucky. I say Gary, like everybody know, Gary Keller, the founder of Keller Williams Realty. I'm super fortunate. I was able to get in the room with him in a mastermind in 2009, long before I deserved it, and have never, have been there ever since. And I listen. I basically hang on every word he says, whether I agree with it or not. I hang on every word he says, and I take notes and I study it. And the reality is he used to say to us, like, listen, the difference in you and me, and he's talking to, call it the top 100, 200 people in Keller Williams, which is the largest real estate organization. The difference between you and me is that when you made more money, you just bought a nicer car and a bigger house. Yeah. I hired somebody else. And I'll tell you, I heard, like, I always listened to that, but I didn't hear it until about 2.5 years ago. And that was when we made our first expansion into Denver. I'll never forget this moment I had, John. So our partner, he's now our regional leader in Denver. He's kicking butt, dude. He is kicking butt. Like, we're going to close 250, maybe 300 transactions in the state of Colorado this year alone.
Wow.
And we never sold real estate there until September 1st of 2014 is when we recruited this guy over to Keller Williams. But I got my first commission check from an expansion deal, right? And it wasn't a lot of money. In fact, the true story is it was Aaron's mom bought a house from us. So Aaron is our partner there. His mom was our first team transaction. And I remember getting the check, and it wasn't a lot of money. But I looked at the check and I went, I don't need any of this money to live on.
Wow.
And it dawned on me when I could reinvest every penny of this, and my lifestyle won't change at all, and I could totally dramatically change my future. And for me, that was the shift. That was the shift right there. And I've been investing heavily into people ever since, people and systems ever since.
Wow. And the interesting thing is, it's like when that light, I'm not there yet, but from what I've been told is when that light bulb goes off, it doesn't take long to get everything you've ever wanted in life. It's like once you figure out that secret,
5 years.
Yeah. And it can happen fast.
Gary always, how many times have you heard Gary say, because you've been in the room with Gary, you've heard him speak on stage. He always says you're never more than 5 years away from your wildest dreams, right? Well, for me, that was 2.5 years ago that we made that decision, and we took a stand and have been taking a stand ever since. And we've stayed focused, and I've stayed out of all these other businesses that I've wanted to be in. Like, I've wanted to flip houses, and I've wanted to do more on social media, and I've wanted to sell more classes because I see it. I see that I can provide value. I see that I have something to bring to the market, and yet I'm totally focused on what I'm doing, right? And that's been 2.5 years. So to put it in perspective, in 2014, we sold 150, 160 houses. Not even 2 years later, we sold 500, and we'll do well over 700 this year. And I believe we'll be up closer to 1,500 in 2018.
So was it all sunshine and rainbows? It just came easily, like,
No.
You graduate from college and you climb this mountain of success?
No, man, it's hard as hell, to be straight with you. And by the way, your best investment is always in people. And what causes the most problems? People, right? That's just truth, right? Because it's people, right? And you've got to grow. Like, I had to grow as a business person. Fred's had to grow as a business person and as a leader. We certainly had our ups and downs, by no means perfect. And the reality is, no, man, it's hard. But when you get clear on something, like, it's okay. Like, there's problems, but that's okay. There's going to be problems. Gary always told me it's going to be messy. Okay, and you got to get okay with the mess. And once we got okay with the mess and we were committed to our vision, it just didn't matter. Like, we have problems. We still, it's funny. We have more problems than ever, more than ever. Yet they affect us less than ever. But they're still there. They're still very much problems. And sometimes they're better problems, but they're still problems.
You don't look very stressed out, like you have a lot of problems.
We have our fair share for sure, but it's okay. I don't know. It's just, to me, it's just kind of part of the business, right? We go through our ups and downs, man. I'll tell you, like, I've always felt like for the last year and a half, like, there's one day every week where I feel like the world is falling apart. And there's one day every week, usually the following day, where I'm like, I'm on cloud 9. We are really kicking ass here. And then the other 3 days are just pretty typical business as usual, right? It's so funny how that it gets, I always felt like bad news would always come on one day. The good news always came the following day. And the rest of the week was just the rest of the week, right? But no, we still have problems, but it's just a lot. It's okay. Like, I think back to the video blog that we had. We shifted away from short sales, and we kind of went into what we called kevinandfred.com, which was just like, we didn't want to talk about short sales anymore. We're just tired of talking about short sales, right? And so when Gary, when this book came out, The One Thing, right? So when this book came out, I was so lucky. Gary let me interview him in his office about the book. and for our blog, and it was awesome. And he said something to me. He said, the cool thing about this, Kevin, is when you do this, again, I'm paraphrasing, I'm sure he said it way smoother than I'm about to. He said, the cool thing about the one thing is when you do the one thing and you work from a clear sense of priority, it's a singular word, priority, you get to go home at the end of the day. Not that everything's perfect, but you can go home knowing that you did the one thing that was the most important. And when you do that, it's okay. You can leave at 5 or 6 or whatever, whenever time is to go home, you can leave and you can know that it's okay.
And that concept can be, it's not just that same concept can extrapolate to all areas of your life. I mean,
yeah,
it's not just business, it's everything. What failures did you have? Like when you were, I mean, scaling a business is not easy. Like that, there's books that are written on scaling a business. So what failures did you have when you were trying to scale this business?
Well, I mean, you could even go back to before we got into our groove that we're in now. We were, we were distracted. We were not clear, and we had a decent business before this, and then we I don't want to say we lost it all. That's dramatic. We still did pretty good, but we went backwards one time ever, and that was 2013. And that's because in 2012, Fred and I got distracted. We chased something. We chased another opportunity that we thought was right for us that wasn't. And we were really poor leaders at the time. And our business went backwards for the first time ever. So I think 2012, we've done like 219 transactions. And we found ourselves in 2013, number one, with no sales staff. Like Fred and I had to get back into sales. And number two, we'd gone backwards. Like we sold like 130 houses that year. I know most people listen to go like, oh, 130 is not so bad. I'm not asking you to feel sorry for me. But it sucked. I hated it. That's not what I wanted to do. Like that just wasn't the business I wanted to have. But we kind of had to go through those trials and tribulations, right? And so that was a lot of soul searching and refining skills in 2013 and 14, early 14, and kind of figuring out who we wanted to be as business people when we grew up. And then, we kind of got on that path, and, there's been a lot of other mistakes since. And the reality is some of those mistakes happened because we fooled ourselves. So like, I see a lot of real estate agents do this, and I'm sure a lot of other entrepreneurs do it as well. They talk themselves into, they have a really good person, maybe even a great person, but their system is shit. But they've got this great person, so it makes them feel like they've got a great system. The reality is the system is non-existent or weak at best. And, we had that. And then it was actually our success in Colorado that ruined us here. Like it really started tearing us apart here in Phoenix, because our partner was so successful at converting business, we could not administratively, we couldn't handle it. And we had made a commitment to him, which is, you go sell, we will do everything else, right?
Yeah.
And it broke us. And we had to rebuild. And I'm telling you the truth, like it wasn't until 5-6 months ago that I went, I think we have our shit together now. I'm not even exaggerating. Like it's been that long, but we committed to fixing it right then and there, but it took a while. So we had a lot of ups and downs. I hired a lot of bad people, not bad people, bad for the role. So right, bad fits. I don't think I did hire one bad person. That guy's a jerk. But we made a lot of mistakes in hiring, and that's mostly on my shoulders, because that's my responsibility. Was mostly to lead up recruiting and hiring efforts, and then just figuring out who we were as a company, and then growing. So like Colorado took off. So then, well, hell, we're geniuses, right? Because we're crushing it in Colorado. Let's go do it somewhere else. And then it didn't work as well. And then it didn't work as well again. Now, don't get me wrong, it's working and we're doing pretty good. Like I like to think we're doing okay. And yet, we're not nearly as smart as we thought we were there for a couple of minutes. And, the reality is we've just had a lot of bumps. I mean, as recently as a year ago, we made some decisions. We're like, yeah, that should be good. And the reality was it was the wrong decision. And, when it comes to maybe a hire or a model or something like that, and we've really worked on refining those. I always like to say, John, like Fred and I are really good at screwing up. But the one thing we're better at screwing up is we stop doing that. So when we're doing something that's not working, we're both very clear that we will stop doing that. That's why we never argue about, like you said, you guys argue. We don't argue. Like we might banter. We banter, you've seen us teach. We banter constantly. But no one really gets upset because we know that we're always just going to go back to doing what works or doing something different if what we're doing doesn't work. So like if I have an idea and Fred hates it and he really wants to do something else and he's passionate about it, we'll do it. And I don't care because I know that if it doesn't work, we're just going to not do that. And I know he feels the same way. And so I think that's just we're totally okay failing. I think Gary's just pounded that into our head as well last 7-8 years, that it's okay to fail. In fact, it's a good thing to fail. Just do it quickly and don't repeat your failures. So yeah, tons of failures. And I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay screwing up. Totally okay with it.
Is, in your opinion, is that one of like the key, like if you had to ask, like, what are the keys to success in life and business? Would that be one of them? Just be okay. Like,
yeah.
What stops other people from doing the same thing? I mean, neither you nor I are the sharpest tools in the shed. I mean,
well, so here's what I see in my industry. Okay. Cause I think I know a lot about, very few things, right? I know a lot about sports and business, the business of sports and the business of real estate. And I think business as well. I'm trying to get there and I'm working on getting there in technology. But in our business, like I'm fortunate. I'm in a position where a lot of people come to me for advice. I get to speak to a lot of other people. I get to teach. I coach a couple agents, which has been a lot of fun. Something I had not done until very recently, and I'm really enjoying it. So often the people that are like significantly more skilled than I am, than I'll ever be in this industry, just can't get to the next level. And I hate it because like I can see it, that their need for control and to do things their way and not fail is more than their desire to succeed, right? And I see that happen constantly with people, whether I'm coaching, whether it's in our Facebook group, whether I'm teaching a class in front of 50 realtors, doesn't matter. I see that theme pop up over and over again. And what's funny, and now I kind of feel like I fall into this category, something I observed early on in my career was, this is not a shot at my industry, but a lot of the more successful agents like really were not, like they probably weren't going to ever be a rocket scientist, if I could put it that way, right? And I noticed there was a common theme that there was some like maybe not so super intelligent people that were crushing it in this business. And what they were willing to do was follow a model, put their ass on the line, and be coachable. And to me, like that goes so far in business. Like you don't have to be Steve Jobs. Now if you want to have a massive business, you've got to have some of the characteristics of a guy like a Steve Jobs or like an Elon Musk, but you don't have to be Steve Jobs. You don't have to be Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg. And these are all the guys I look up to now because we're so heavy into technology in our company, and this is where we're really moving the Group 4610 network towards. And you don't have to be that smart. You got to have a vision, and you got to be willing to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. Like there's so many people in this building on the other side of that wall right there, so much smarter than I will ever be. But I'm not intimidated by it. I enjoy it. I love it. I love being around smart people.
It makes the conversation, it enables you to grow that much larger. And, I always like to hang around with people that make me feel really bad. Like I want to feel like a loser when I hang around with people.
Yeah. Well, by the way, I'd like to talk to you. how in the hell how am I following up David Osborne?
Um,
I think that's unfair.
why?
Man, that guy is someone I look up to. You know, we got to have lunch with him last year, and I've talked to him a couple times since, and super great guy, super knowledgeable. So those are the types of guys I want to hang out with too.
Yeah, and that's, I think, one of the secrets to life. Like, if you know the whole adage, you know, your circle of friends or those 5 people close, your network is your net worth. Like,
dude, Rich Dad Poor Dad talked about. I was like, holy crap! He was talking about his circle of friends, like how he wasn't necessarily only friends with rich people, but there were for certain rich people who he sought out relationships with, not to get something from them, but to learn from them.
yeah.
And I was like, I don't remember that being in the book the first time and I read, I was never a reader, but I couldn't put that book down. And now I just listen to stuff on Audible, and then, you know, I pick up the hard copy if I really like it, or, you know, if that's all that's available, then I'll pick up a hard copy and read it. So I was listening to it and I'm like, I don't remember that part at all. And obviously it was in the book, you know, 15, 20 years ago for me, 12 years ago when I read it, or 10 years ago, whenever it was, that I read it for the first time, but it's in there.
And here's the other thing. Hey, and if anybody has any questions, just put them in the comments. We've got our producer, Jeff Tucker. He'll relay them to us, and we'll try and get some questions answered. So as it pertains to real estate, business, the Lakers, whether – or, you know, we could get a good debate going on whether it was LeBron or Jordan. Who's the greatest?
It's not a debate, man. It's not a debate.
I'm with you.
Listen. It's Michael Jordan, and then you can have a conversation about number 2. There's no conversation. And in fact, I won't even debate it. I won't have the conversation because it is no debate.
There's an army of millennials out there, and they outnumber us, that I'm pretty sure the majority of them will say it's LeBron.
It's not LeBron. The guy's a loser. He doesn't work hard.
So, all right, we're going to switch.
Just listen to their language. Seriously, this is what I like. You know what's made me appreciate Michael Jordan more? Business. Being in business, because I see his mindset now.
Yep.
And like, he has got the killer instinct. Like, I know that like the Bobcats or whatever team he owns is not crushing it. I promise you, Michael Jordan making a ton of money in business. I guarantee it. LeBron is making probably a ton of money from endorsements. There's a difference. Endorsements and owning and running the business are 2 totally different things. And I can tell you right now that Michael Jordan is the guy, like his will to win. Tiger Woods, before he got hurt, before the whole, you know, affair thing and the wreck, which ruined him, he was also that guy. Like, I appreciate greatness. And LeBron's a great player. There's no doubt about it. He's probably the most physically gifted, got the most tools of anybody to ever play the game. Probably. But the thing he lacks is the killer instinct. He lacks that thing that Michael Jordan has, that Kobe Bryant has, that a lot of the guys who I would consider better than him have. Yeah. I understand he's got better skill sets, but he's not a better basketball player.
I completely agree with you.
And if anybody has a comment on that, I don't care. Don't read it to me because I'm not going to debate it. It's my episode. I'm not talking about LeBron James anymore.
I want to say whatever I want to say because it's my episode.
That's right. And I can't read your comments right now, and I'll probably stay up all night responding to them.
Yeah, so if you have any questions or comments other than whether it's LeBron or Jordan, shoot them at us. Kevin is a wealth of knowledge about business, marketing, and he's an all-around cool guy. Kevin, as it pertains to business and what do you do this for? Like, what is it? Why? Like, why are you driven to like do something more?
You know, I don't know. Something's always been there. I really don't know what it was. But I'll tell you, I'm not going to go into detail because it's personal, but like Gary Keller shared a story with me and a few others about a year ago that had to do with his mom that was ailing. Like she was dying. She's passed away. And he was sharing with us like kind of like the care that he, I hate to say, like just the things that he provided for her. I just remember going, man, if anybody in my family, my mom, much less my mom, were to be that sick or whatever, I guess I just never want money to be the barrier, right? Like if my mom ever needs, I don't know, a full-time nurse and this and that and a full-time driver, whatever it would be, right? I just want to write the check. I just want to write the check. If somebody else in my family needs it, I just want to write the check and be done with it. If my kid wants to learn how to play whatever sport or whatever instrument, I'm just going to write the check and get them the best coach ever that I can possibly get them, right? I just never want money to be the limiting factor in my life or the life of those around me. So whether it's a family member or a friend, money. So like, it's not like, cause I love money. I do love what money can do. And, money is good for the good it can do, in my opinion. That's my belief system. And so I want a lot of it. I want as much as I can possibly get because I want to be able to do things like that. I like to give it away. Of course I want it for myself and for my family and our luxuries. But the thing that drives it, when it comes to the money side of it, is I just don't ever want me or anybody I'm close to ever be limited because of dollars, because I see money limit people's opportunities so much. Like, whether it's being able to travel to visit a sick, loved one or whatever, or being able to give to your favorite charity. Like when I see people who have been stopped from doing something that they really want or love to do because of money, like, it kills me. So I just never want that to be the factor. And then the other piece of that is I'm just competitive, man. It's like, in one way, it's all about the money. Like I want to be a freaking billionaire. And in another way, it absolutely has nothing to do with the money, because I just want to win. I just want to be the best. I really just want to be the best. I want, when it's all said and done, like we will have the number one real estate team in the country. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. I just want to get there, and I don't even want to talk. I don't even want a trophy. I just want everybody to know that we're number one. When we walk in the door, we're number one. That's it.
And we're both big Gary Vee fans. He does, like, I just want to be all time. Like I want to be all time. And it's the win. It's like he talks about buying the Jets, and he was like, it's not even really about buying the Jets. It's just, I just want to be all time. And I know if I get there, I'll have enough financial rewards to buy the Jets.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's what I hear you say. And when you talk about Jordan, you talk about that's what you're talking about in Jordan, that competitive, like, we can go to the golf course right now and I'll whip your ass or I'll die trying. Like I came in this morning and there's a guy in my office that's way bigger than me. Like he's like Vin Diesel, like the Rock. And I was feeling pretty pumped about myself because I had just left the gym and I was like, hey, you want to arm wrestle? Kind of thinking that he would say, dude, you're crazy. Like you're a 45-year-old white guy. Like I'm not going to arm wrestle you. And we got at it. Like this is like 8:30 this morning. We're in the office arm wrestling. But I wanted to win. Like, yeah. And I like that energy. And it was I think I might do that every day. It's like a really cool way to start off the day. Just like an arm wrestling battle. It's like pretty awesome.
That'd be a cool thing to do right before scripts every day.
Yeah.
Everyone just partner up and arm wrestle.
Yeah. Maybe throw a punch every now and then. Hey, we have a question from Brian Fulton. What is and I love how this is worded, a super secret or cutting edge marketing tactic that you are using right now that people can start implementing? And Kevin, if I know you, you might go off on a tangent with this now.
So here's
a super secret or cutting edge marketing tactic.
Okay. This is gonna totally be such a disappointing answer. Here's what I think the secret is. The secret is that there is not actually a secret, and it's boring as hell. And that's the fucking secret, is that nobody wants to do it because it's so boring. Like we actually don't do anything super secret super. We do stuff cutting edge, but it's not it's not a marketing standpoint. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm into that stuff. Like, if you've ever read Russell Brunson's book, .com Secrets, and now he's got Expert Secrets out, and I love like, I'm thinking about buying ClickFunnels, and I love that product, and all that stuff is cool. Like that, I'm not an expert there. Like, I don't know anything about that. What I do know is that if you just execute on the boring stuff, over time, you will surpass everybody.
So you mean if I just so if I want to lose 50 pounds this year and I just say, you know what, I'm just going to cut out the Oreos. Like, I just take small steps incrementally over time.
Consistently over time.
That sounds too easy.
Right. Which is why nobody does it. It's also boring as hell. Something out, like, I'm sorry to always say like Gary says, because let's face, I mean, he's just my mentor, right? I spent a lot of time around him.
He's a pretty smart guy too, though.
Yeah, and I listen to him. So something else Gary always says to me is that mastery is found just from the other side of boredom. Right? Or another way I've heard him say this before is you'll find massive results on the other side of boredom. And you've got to be okay getting bored. You got to be okay being bored until you can connect the excitement to the results. So you understand that, like, as an example in our business, right, or any sort of sales business, John, like, I know you were in the stock business at one time in your life, and it's not sexy to pick up the phone and dial 100, 200, 300 people a day. It's not. It's boring as hell. Yet when you do it over time, you get massive results. Like, when you lead generate every day for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, it's boring, but the results show up. Sometimes just because it's a battle of attrition, like you're still standing, right? That's actually the secret. Nobody wants to do that. Another way I've heard it said is that there's a guy, his name is Russell Shaw. He was featured in Millionaire Real Estate Agent. He's a friend of mine. You should have Russell on here. He says fuck way more often than I do.
Oh, he does a lot.
He's hilarious. And Russell, for anybody who doesn't know Russell, he sold 100 houses a year, hundreds of houses a year for the last, I don't know, like 100 years. He's been in the business for a while. And I've heard him say before, the problem with our industry, and I don't think it's just our industry, I think it's business in general, is that everyone's so worried about doing something outside of the box, they never get in the box. The thing is, you got to get in the box first. You have to get in that box, and then when you've mastered that, then it's time to think outside the box.
Yeah, I tell people, you hear this, I want to work smarter and not harder. I'm like, no, first you work harder to earn the right.
Well, okay, so we hire a lot of people, right? And so we interview even more people, hundreds. I've interviewed 1,000+ agents, right? And everybody wants to make, like you said, HGTV. They want to make 6 figures. And it's like Fred said to me this morning, he was talking about himself, so I'm totally telling on him here. It's like they want to work from 8 a.m. Hawaii time to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? So about 3 hours and have a lunch in there and make 6 figures. And the truth of the matter is you just can't do both. Okay, you can have a lot of free time or you can make a lot of money. Which do you want? Ask Gary Vaynerchuk what he did. Like, I'm not suggesting you work 20 hours a day. I'm not saying that's it, but I am saying you got to work 40, 50 hours a week. If you are focused and you can do your job, then you can get away with working 40 or 50 hours a week, because over the long run, and I mean like 5, 10, 15 years, your results will be massive if you work hard, and it's super boring.
So here's the thing, and whether you referenced Gary Keller and said you don't want to keep quoting Gary Keller, but I can tell you, whether it's Gary Keller, it's David Osborne, it's Gary Vaynerchuk, it's Robert Kiyosaki, they all say this, it's Tony Robbins, they all say the same thing.
Right?
Like duh, so what? Don't like Gary Keller. Big freaking deal. Don't like him. I mean,
yeah.
You like Gary V, he says the same thing. And the funny thing is he was like, I'm saying this stuff over and over again, and I think people hear me, but they're not listening, or however that goes. Like, they're listening to what I'm saying, but they don't hear.
They don't hear it. Yeah.
There's no shortcuts. Like, there's no shortcuts. You
Yeah,
grind
work.
your face off.
Yes.
And
That's actually the secret because nobody does it. That's being inside the box is actually thinking outside of the box because no one's in the damn box.
here's actually an interesting secret. And this is like, I should charge you all for this. Use social media socially. Like,
Seriously.
Actually build relationships with people. Like, there are a lot of people that don't understand that you can actually do that. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you can build relationships with people.
Crazy.
Do the same thing on Instagram. Any other questions out there, Jeff? If you see anything, keep them coming. So,
Sorry for the boring answer, Jeff.
I mean, is there any other secret? Really, is there anything on any book that you've read from a marketing standpoint that I know ClickFunnels, which is cool.
Sorry, this is my bookcase over here. I don't think it's here. I think it's at home. From a marketing standpoint, there's 2 books that I would recommend. The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing by Al Rice and Jack Trout.
Yep.
And what was their other one that Gary made us read? Damn it. Anyways, Al Rice and Jack Trout have written quite a few marketing books. One of them was called The 22 Immutable Laws, and one of them is called something else. I don't know. They've written a lot of books. Go read their books. Those are the guys if you want to know about marketing.
And the interesting enough, because I've read, that was about branding or something, wasn't it?
It is. Yeah. Here's the crazy thing. Now they wrote books a long time ago, but if you go listen to what Gary Vaynerchuk is talking about today, now he's talking about using Instagram and Face Snap and all that stuff, right? But he's talking about the same principles. It's the same damn things from those books. He's just using the apps on this thing right here. He's just using those apps. That's it. But it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's jab, right hook, but digitally.
Yeah, exactly.
Kevin, what books are you reading right now? And any other than that, any books that you're reading right now?
Yeah, so I started today mainly because Tim Ferriss kept talking about it over and over again, the Checklist Manifesto. I decided to give that a shot. I just finished Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I just finished Tony Robbins' Unshakable. At David Osborne's urging, I read As a Man Thinketh last week, obviously in his book too. I'm about halfway through Wealth Can't Wait. Moneyball is one of my all-time favorite books, and it is a business book if you really read it.
It's a process. I
just read that recently. I just finished The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
What?
The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Is that really? You being serious? Is that a real book?
Yeah. Look.
Huh.
Yeah. So, if I could make a suggestion on a book for people in sales, I would say Influence by Robert. I'm going to butcher his last name. Cialdini, whatever. It's called Influence. Elon Musk book by Ashley Vance was one of my favorite reads recently. And then a book called Bold by Peter Diamandis.
Dude, you read a lot of freaking books.
Yeah, you know what? I made a decision. Number one, I just decided to start reading more. And Headstrong by Dave Asprey. I don't know. I just feel like that's the one thing I can control is I can feed my mind, what I want to focus on. And I don't watch a ton of TV. I probably watch 4 shows and I watch them on DVR so I can watch them whenever I want to watch them. Outside of that, I watch some sports. But outside of that, I don't watch TV. And so I'm in my car. I live 25 miles away from my office. So I'm in my car for at least 45 minutes to an hour a day. So I typically listen to a book while I'm there and then just do a little at night or whatever.
Out of curiosity, because you have a really big business, how many hours a week do you think you actually work? I mean, are you like putting in like 15 hours a week now?
No. I bet you these days it's probably here's the deal. It kind of goes in depends on what's going on, right? So to be truthful, there's some weeks where I might work 30, 25 or 30, and then there's others where I might do 50. Just depends. Like, some weeks we got to travel and I've got more events to whatever speak at, or I've taken Gary Keller's advice very well, and my mornings are stacked. The truth is, my work is typically done by noon every day, and the rest.
Do you have like a morning routine that you go through, Kevin,
Yeah.
for the most part?
Yep. Yeah.
And is that pretty much like rigid? Like it's.
Yeah. Like I don't even I forgot. Like the reality is like I don't know what I do until I look at what I'm going to do today until I look at my calendar for the day.
Wow.
And so every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are the same because the same meetings are reoccurring Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and they're very set. They're very scheduled. And then anything that differs from that has to happen in the afternoon or on Thursday and Friday. Like if I travel, like we used to travel a lot more than we do now for our for our expansion business. But like basically the first half of my day and the first half of my week is stacked. And part of that is I just feel like, number one, I know it's the way to do it. Gary told me so. And number two is if I'm going to tell all of our people that you should time block, I better be doing it too. And so I just do it.
How is because I know you have 2 children.
Yep.
And I have 3. How is the addition of kids to the business world? Like, how do you balance everything?
Yeah, it's tough to be honest, because like I want to do so much. Like there might be weeks where I only work 30 hours, but it's because I want to go home and be with them.
Yeah.
And I spend a lot of time with my kids. I spend I'm there in the morning when they wake up. I'm there usually to have dinner with them, definitely during bath time and to put them to bed and stuff like that every night. If I'm in town, very rarely do I go do like a work dinner or something. I did last night. Cody Gibson was in town, so I went and met him, and we had dinner together. And outside of that rare occurrence, like I'm there, man. Like that was, so my oldest is she's almost 4.5. And so this book is almost 4.5 years old too, or just over 4 years old. And luckily this came out, like I got the advanced reader version, probably the same month she was born. And I started putting in place stuff from this book the minute she was born. And the truth is, John, in 2013 and 14 and 15 and 16, there was a lot of things I chose to miss because I wanted to go be at home. Like the reality is I just would rather, like I love my business. I love everyone I work with, but I love my kids way more. And so I've got parameters. I've got these certain things set up that I just refuse to miss.
It's just like non-negotiable items.
Yeah, like it's just on my calendar. Like my vacation's on my calendar. Like every September or October, Fred and I plan out the following year, and the vacations go on there first.
So you plan vacations first?
First, yeah. And I mean, I take a decent amount of vacation. Like I'll take like probably 3 weeks off in July. I actually scheduled the whole month off. I probably won't take the whole month off, but I scheduled it off. But I'll probably take 3 of those this year, 3 weeks this year, like I did last year. Usually take a week in the spring, a week in the fall, and then a week or 2 around Christmas. And even if we're not going anywhere and doing anything, I'm going to stay home and hang out with my kids.
What are so, and I'm going to limit it to 3. What are 3 pieces of advice that you're going to just grind into your kids? If it's only 3, if you can only give them, I'd love to say what's the one thing you can give them, but that would be really, really hard. So 3 things.
So I want to see, dang. Oh, it's on my Facebook. I was going to steal Tim Ferriss's 3 pieces of advice. What am I going to grind into my kids? I'm going to grind into them how money really works. Nobody taught me that. I had to learn that.
The game of money.
Yeah, it is a game. It's not like that you use those words. It is a game. So I'm going to grind that into them. The importance of relationships. What is the third?
Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time.
Oh man. Gosh, man, that's the other thing I'll probably teach them about is it's okay. You got to get bored. Like you got to get comfortable with being bored.
Yeah, and one thing I'm going with right now is, or it's a recurring theme, but it's like fail. It's okay to fail. Like,
oh yeah,
it's
now you say that.
Participation awards isn't how the real world works. Like, we don't get trophies.
Yep. Yeah. Now that you say that, that's probably one. It's totally okay to. It's funny because I'm so good I am so okay failing. Like I can look like an idiot. I can look like an ass. I can look dumb in front of people. It just doesn't faze me. Like I'm not saying I like to look stupid in front of people. Or I like it when I make a mistake. I'm just totally okay with it.
I think that comes from, and I think that's one of the secrets of the secret sauce is like you have to be okay in your own skin.
Yeah, you gotta have thick skin.
Because you know what? Who cares? Like I really don't give a shit either. Like it doesn't bother me. Like I walked in here with a pair of shoes last week, and one of my guys asked me if I was too old to be wearing those types of shoes. It's a pair of shell toe Adidas. You remember those?
Oh yeah.
Aren't you a little old to be wearing those? And I'm like that kind of comment could have really crushed somebody. Like that could have just ruined their day.
What's funny is you're right, and I sometimes have to remember that like when I'm playing around with like the people in the office or whatever, like joke, like I gotta remember sometimes like some people might be a little more fragile, and so like you can't, like Fred and I, like you've been around me and Fred enough, like we're brutal. We are brutal, especially if we're teaching a class. Like half the reason we teach is so we can make fun of each other. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It keeps it fun.
Interesting.
It does. But a lot of people can't take it, man. A lot of people can't take it. Like feelings get hurt over like the dumbest things. And I just, I don't know. It is what it is.
You have a unique thing where you wear flip-flops. I mean, I bet people make fun of you all the time because, okay, what kind of business guy is this that can wear flip-flops?
All the time, honestly, and it just makes me say "fuck you" more. Like on the inside, like I don't care. I'm just gonna outproduce you. Like I'm gonna outproduce you. Like I can remember back in like, okay, so like you brought up the time we were dressed up in like with like the stop signs and everything. Like we're in New Orleans. Our OP, we had been in his office for about 2 years, and he like had we really rubbed him the wrong way. And he finally said to me, like he pulled me aside in New Orleans. He said, I got to shit. He's like, you did it, man. You did it your way. You have stayed true to yourself. And I got to tell you, honestly, I admire that. And I was like, you know what, Jim, thanks a lot. I appreciate that. Because a lot of people like, I get the, when I meet a lot of people, I get the whole, and they look down at my feet or I'm wearing shorts because it's the summertime, right? So I wear shorts, and I got a giant tattoo on the front of my left leg. People will look at that, and they're just like thinking, like, what a loser, and or like there's no way you know what you're talking about in business, and like I like it. Like, go ahead, you can just I like to be the underdog. Go ahead, underestimate me. I'm totally good with that.
Yeah, because you said it very, very clearly. Like you're about winning, and not winning from a negative way, but it's like winning. Like I just want to be the best version of whoever I am, and the best version of myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when you come from that mindset, you can't end. It's not about a dollar sign. It's not about, you just can't stop. Like I'll do this. I mean, I don't know if I'll do this podcast, but I will be in business until the day I die.
Yeah, there's no such thing as retirement.
No. Like somebody asked me the word content. I was like, what does content mean? Like I had to look that up in the dictionary. All right, Kevin. So you're always looking to hire people. If people want to get a hold of you guys or are looking for opportunities, and keep in mind, when you have a big business that you are building, you're always looking for people of all different skill sets, right?
Absolutely. I mean, dude, today, like we made the decision to hire another computer programmer. So we've got 2 on staff already, and we're getting ready to hire the 3rd. Obviously, we've got people that are administrative in nature, right? They handle transactions, like they're licensed transaction coordinators. We got salespeople. We've got what we call sales leadership. It's the cliche. Like, I'm just looking for talent. And, to me, it doesn't matter where they live. If they're talented people, great. Like, I can think of a guy named Logan. This kid named, great guy. He's working on to get his real estate license right now. He heard David Osborne on a podcast and reached out to David, and then David connected me with him, and he's in this kid's in Denver. And so we're going to start working together as soon as he gets his license. Right. And so to me, it doesn't matter where people are at. One of the things I love about having an expansion business is there are no borders. So yeah, we're always looking for people, whether that's now or 5 years. I mean, it's funny, I look at one of our regional leaders and partners is Todd Barton, somebody who we met in 2009. We partnered with a year ago, January, right?
Wow.
So that would have been January of 2016. So probably knew him for about 7 years before we went into business together. So sometimes it's like right now business, and sometimes it's 7 years from now business. And that's okay. So yeah, always looking for people. I love someone who's, I'm not going to say young, like necessarily it has to be the number has to be young, but young and hungry mindset wise, right? And they're winners, and they understand that Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time.
I knew that was coming.
They got the killer instinct, right? And they want to do whatever it takes to win. Those are the kind of people I want to be in business with for the long run. And so I'm always open to those people. And probably the easiest way to connect with us is find me on Facebook, a quick email address that gets to me and my business partner is realestate@group4610.com, realestate@group4610.com. We've got a Facebook community that we've got a lot of real estate agents in. Myself and Fred and our good buddy Cody Gibson started together about 6 months ago. Super long and wordy title, Real Estate Agents Who Want Real Results. We're really active in that group. We moderate that group quite a bit and keep the junk out and try to get and give as much advice as possible in that group. So those are all great ways to reach out to us.
What, when it comes to expansion and you're looking for people, because I just want to make it very, very clear, like it doesn't make a difference where someone's located in the US. Like if you're looking for opportunities to join part of a business, like they can reach out to you. Is that what you're saying? Pretty much?
Yeah, absolutely. So whether you're brand new into real estate or you've been in real estate for 20 years or 5 years, whatever, reach out. My goal has been to just basically create the system and the platforms for real estate agents to succeed and run their business off of. That's really it. That's it at the end of the day, right? And so
like the McDonald's of real estate?
Yeah, basically. And so we've got we're willing to go anywhere where the talent is, right? And so whether you're brand new into real estate or you're a seasoned veteran, you've got a great business, you've got a good business, whatever that looks like, and you're interested in plugging into a machine that is driven by technology and training, then we'd love to talk to you.
Awesome. All right, people. So you hear that. There's a guy to talk to. If you look at him on Facebook, there might be a picture where he had hair, but that was from like 2009 or 2008. I definitely it's like the thing about Fred is that I had a full head of hair when we started working together. Look at this thing now. It's terrible. All right. I got to ask you one really tough question.
Go for it.
So a lot of people, at least from what I see, this is just what I see. People, and I was guilty of this, go through life and they're searching for things to make them happy, which ultimately to me is fulfillment. And I believe that we're all on some sort of journey towards this magical place called fulfillment, whatever that is.
Right.
Your definition's going to be different than mine, which will be different than someone else's, but we're all on that same journey. What does that word fulfillment mean to you? Like, how do you know if you've gotten to the end of that journey? And it'll probably change over years. I know mine does.
I hope I never get there, first of all.
Nice.
To be totally straight with you, I don't ever want to get there because like I want to always have a reason to wake up in the morning, right? And go after something. But to me, fulfillment is simply more of like, it's, you know what it is? It's being congruent with who you are. Meaning you're going after whatever it is you want to go after. regardless if anybody else thinks it's a good idea or not. Like you are being you. So if you're a punk kid who wears Volcom t-shirts and flip-flops and still sells real estate, then that's who you are. That's me. If you're a guy that dresses in a nice suit, an Armani suit, and sells real estate, cool, whatever it is. But it's about being who you are and being congruent in that and going after what it is you really want, not what your family, your friends, or society has told you you should go after.
Dude, I love that. You know, Kevin, the interesting thing is one day we're going to look back when we're a little bit older, and I might ask that question 10,000 times. And I think what we're going to see at the end of that is we're going to see patterns. We're going to see patterns of different people's journey towards fulfillment.
Yeah.
And my idea is that then we'll write, Jeff, we might have the book name. It might be The Journey Towards Fulfillment, actually. But so that's the old, we're going to write a book one day. But in what you just said is something I've heard from other people before. Like Gary Vee is big on that. Like, just you be you, like, do you.
Yeah, you have to.
And that's what I believe that I'm a pretty spiritual person, and I believe that we were all designed for some bigger purpose, and I need to be me to fulfill that purpose. But that's just me getting a little weird. Kevin, you're awesome. Like, once again, tell people how to reach out to you, Facebook, and what was the email address, Kevin? Thanks,
dude. Real estate at group4610.com comes directly to me and my business partner. Facebook, you can find me on Facebook. John and I are friends, so you can find me there. In our Facebook group, real estate agents who want real results. It's obviously reserved for real estate agents, and we're pretty tight about that. There's about 12,000 of us in that group. We keep a pretty tight-knit community. But anyway, even if you're not in real estate and you want to chat business or whatever, by all means, reach out. You can, I'm sure, be connected through John, and Twitter, Instagram, all that shit.
Snapface. Kevin, thank you so much. I know that you are an extremely busy person. I appreciate you just taking some time out of your evening and giving back to whoever's watching this. One day this will be a really popular show as I fail my way forward, because I have no idea what the hell we're doing here. But I'm willing to go out here and put myself out on a limb because I believe it's the right thing to do, and I believe we can add value.
Nice. I like it, man. That's one thing I appreciate about you is you're willing to do that just because it adds value.
Yeah. Dude, love you, brother.
We'll right back at you, man. All right, dude. I'll talk to you soon. Take it easy.
This has been Welcome to the Machine.
Later.
Guys.